about financials. Sustainable is integral to our strategy. Through the foundation, we have created water conservation potential of more than 1.3 billion liters. We're delighted to share with you that more than 67% of our plastics in our portfolio today is recyclable. And we have collected more than 60% of the plastics that we generate from the market. We've also made very good progress on sustainable sourcing, enhancing livelihoods, and health and well-being. If I now come across and talk about our performance in December quarter growth has been competitive and profitable. Our reported turnover for December quarter 20 stood at 11,682 crores and is up 20%, with our profit after tax growing at 19%. EBITDA margins at 24.4 remain very healthy. On a like-for-like basis, which is excluding the impact of the mergers and acquisitions, namely nutrition, our domestic consumer business grew at 7%, with underlying volume growth of 4%. Our business fundamentals remain strong, with more than 86% of our business gaining penetration, as well as gaining volume shares. Our higher mobility, consumer-relevant innovations, and investing behind the market development is leading us gain momentum. Before I get into the divisional performance, it will be important to highlight that in 7 of our categories, we have grown in double digits and well ahead of the market and decisively. These categories include household care, skin cleansing, oral, tea, nutrition, and packaged foods. Health, hygiene, nutrition, which constitutes close to 80% of our portfolio, has again done well, growing in 10%. And discretionary has made a very strong comeback. In the prior quarter, discretionary had a negative growth of 25%, and in this quarter, we are close to flat. So all in all, if you really see a lot of the parts of our business are actually picking up momentum. And I think the space where we are having some bit of a slower growth or a lower growth is in home care. If I were to talk from a divisional lens, within home care, I think what's really happened is that we have seen the category consumption getting impacted as people have stayed in home. But with increased mobility, we have started to see a sequential pickup in our growth. Our December growths were higher than our November and October, and we have seen the trend continue to play out in January. Our household care business has continued its strong performance and has grown in double digits. Our driving focus on market development is enabling us grow liquids and is enabling us grow the premium segment handsomely. If I come to beauty and personal care, the business grew at 9% with strong double-digit growths in cleansing, hair, and oral care. In skin cleansing, the performance was led by Lifebuoy and double-digit growth in premium segments. It's important to highlight that the premium segment growths have actually started to come back in BPC, and that augurs very well for our business. Our skincare portfolio grew well with winter performance really picking up, and hair has really been a stellar performance, growing well ahead of the market. If I look at our foods and refreshments business, we've sustained the growth momentum with growth of in excess of 19%. In tea, all our brands have continued to grow in double digits and well ahead of the market. In foods, ketchups and soups performed well, again growing in double digits. We are very happy to say that our nutrition business, we had some supply chain challenges and constraints in the previous quarter. They've all been addressed. It's come back to normalcy. And I'm very happy to share with you that the business has grown in double digits, with both Horlicks as well as Boost doing very well and growing in double. Ice creams, food solutions, and vending business are improving progressively as out-of-home consumptions are increasing and our people are coming outside. So all in all, if you really see, I think we've started to step up the growth momentum. And today, on a like-for-like basis, our business has grown at 7, and on a reported basis, 20. If I look ahead, and if I were to bring home a summary, the near-term demand outlook is indeed improving. As India is on the move, economic activity is picking up. All our categories are very, very well positioned to actually leverage this growth momentum and do well. Profitable volume growth continues to be our big focus. We have invested significantly in the quarter behind our brands and capabilities, and we will continue to do so. And therefore, consumer-centric innovations, market development, and capabilities will remain a key focus area. We do expect to see elevated levels of inflation in select categories, and hence we will focus on mix, net revenue management, including judicious pricing and savings. Our nutrition business will continue to be accretive both from a growth perspective and bottom line. All in all, I think we are well positioned to actually unlock the immediate opportunity and the structural opportunity. And I think the business is in fundamentally very sound position and gaining momentum. Thank you for that. That's really a good summary in terms of our performance, and we are very happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Srini. May I request Charlene D'Souza from BloombergQuint to ask the first question, please?
Thank you so much, sir, for taking my question. Let me start off by asking, what is the kind of price hikes that you've taken in the previous quarter, considering you've also mentioned that tea and palm prices are on the rise? They are up 50% year on year, over 50%. Also, the second question I want to ask is, while you said urban markets are also improving, but rural also continues to outpace urban, can you tell me what is the growth rate of rural compared to urban? And do consumers continue to downtrade? And is that what's actually bringing in volumes, or is there premiumization that you're witnessing coming back during the quarter? And also, have the number of SKUs come back to your pre-COVID levels?
So, Charlene, that's actually 4 or 5 questions in one. So let me try and answer as many as I can. Our first one is, yes, inflation is at elevated level. And if you see in tea, we have been taking prices in a calibrated fashion, both in September quarter earlier and in December quarter. So the price growths in tea category per se have been in double digits. And I think our strategy of being calibrated and prudent is actually working well for us. If you look at skin cleansing, one would have to actually price somewhere between 7 to 9% to just recover the cost. So that's the magnitude of inflation which has happened. And if you see what have we done, we have already taken one round of pricing in December quarter at about 2.5%. We are actually, as we speak, putting another 2.5% of pricing into the market, which would be at the various stages of landing. And therefore, we will continue to look at all opportunities. You know, as Sanjiv has spoken many times, we want to give the right value to the consumer. And therefore, we will look at all levers to manage the health of the business and the right shape of the business. But these levels of inflation do require us to be judicious with pricing, and we will continue to do that. And if I were to bring all of that together, I think the easiest way, given that we have many businesses and many components, in the quarter, our business has grown at 7%. Within that, UVG has been 4%. So the balance is what would really come in as price growth. Yeah, that's really, let's say, your point number 1. Point number 2, if I were to really talk about growths, rural has been resilient and rural has been doing well for some time. I think that's continued to play out in the quarter. And we have seen rural growths growing double digit. Urban, if you see a quarter ago, was struggling for multiple reasons and was looking like flat to negative. Actually, in some earlier parts of the previous quarter was in deep negative. But the good news is we are seeing urban come back to a positive territory, and we are seeing the trajectory pick up as we go along. Yeah. So let's say that's your second question. Now, if you asked us about downtrading and downgrading, to be honest, it's a bit of a mixed picture, depending on where the economic stress is and where the economic buoyancy is. At an aggregate, I don't believe markets are downtrading or downgrading. In fact, the outlook today is significantly better. Within that construct, premium has definitely come back, and we have seen lots of good premiumization trends coming back. And we've seen growth in many parts of our portfolio, and that augurs well. In fact, our premium portfolio has grown in high single digit, and it's actually a very good recovery. Yeah, so that is really a third question. And a very quick one on SKUs. I think we do this well, depending on the needs of the consumers. We add SKUs. Where it doesn't make sense, we are able to take out SKUs. At an aggregate, I don't think the complexity is gone out of sync in terms of what we can manage. And I think we are very well positioned. Sanjiv, anything that you would like to add on any of these aspects, please?
No, just one point to what Srini, you said is, Charlene, if you look at our assortment, which is distinct SKUs sold in an outlet, then total assortment has increased over the pre-COVID level. So that would give you an indicator very clear indicator that the SKUs which we have been manufacturing and selling have now back at the pre-COVID levels.
Thank you, Charlene. May I request Mangalam Malu from CNBC TV 18 to ask the next question, please? You're on mute, Mangalam.
All right. Okay. So it's a good set of numbers, given the situation that we are in the demand environment, and you are, happy about the way demand is shaping up. Just a word on the 20% of your portfolio that did not grow well. How is the trend shaping up out there? As far as input costs are concerned and your margins, what proportion of synergies with the GSK acquisition have already been realized? And finally, on Sebamed, if you could give us a sense of how competitive intensity has been, and has that ad campaign, impacted demand for your brands and the soaps that they have named in their ad campaigns?
So Sanjiv, if you could take the lead and I'll come in as a prop.
Sure. It's, Mangalam, your first question was about the discretionary categories. And here again, I'll break it up into one segment, which is out of home, and the other is discretionary in nature. So if I look at discretionary in nature, in September quarter, it was about -25. And if I look at the December quarter, it was nearly at break-even levels. Yeah. So there has been a significant improvement. And then when I look at the out of home, which is a food solution business, which is an ice cream business, this was again about -25 in the September quarter, and now it would be in the vicinity of -15. So it has both significantly improved. So 80% of our business, which is about nutrition, health, and hygiene, this both in September and December quarter has grown double-digit, and the discretionary and the out of home, the negative growth has significantly reduced because this is directly linked to mobility. And the discretionary ones in out of home, there are clear indicators that in urban India, as more people start going out to work, start stepping out of homes, this is having a very clear positive impact on these categories. Right? And your second question on Sebamed, it has had no impact on our volumes.
I wanted to know about the synergies that you've realized from GSK.
On GSK, maybe if I can come in, Mangalam, and then you will add on. Look, the business is progressing extremely well. And if you really see that, there are two clear drivers to it. One is what does it do for your top line? Because that's the bigger opportunity to unlock value. And second is really the bottom line synergy. On top line, as I explained to you, the business, we've resolved some of the supply chain issues, supply disruption, and the business is back growing at double-digit. Boost is again where we went national, doing extremely well, has grown in double-digit in the geographies that we went into, Maharashtra, North, and Bengal. We also introduced some very good innovations to pack format, which we actually brought in a pouch pack, making the product more affordable, and which is actually doing two things for us. After a few years, we are actually seeing the large pack volume growth come back, which also starts to show that we are gaining penetration. And we believe at least we've got about 6% new users coming in. So many elements coming through from a growth. And we've also actually relaunched our Plus range, which is all about, adult nutrition. And I think that's just gone in. So multiple levers now coming in. Of course, you will see a lot more action going forward. As far as bottom line is concerned, I think we're happy to note that we are well ahead of the business case. We've been able to realize a lot of our synergies. We are running at least, without getting ahead of ourselves, I think significantly ahead on the bottom line, which is also actually giving us the ammunition to really manage the totality of foods and refreshments, because we also see there is significant inflation in other parts. I think we're able to hold it very well. So overall, I think we're quite pleased with the way nutrition has been progressing. Sanjiv, any thoughts from your side before you talk about this?
I'm extremely delighted with the way in which the integration has taken place and the way the business has taken off. Huge potential and massive promise.
Right. And just a quick one on the demand for hygiene products and sanitizers. We did see unprecedented demand coming in during the first and the second quarter. Has that tapered off? By how much? And what's the trend likely to be there?
If we look at some of the demand like sanitizers and all, which I call as obsessive, because when the pandemic happened, that's what it veered towards. Of course, it has tapered off. But let me be very clear in stating that some of the behavior change that we are seeing in terms of better practices, more hygiene, frequent washing your hands with soap, those are practices which are bound to remain. So the obsessive nature will come down, but the behavior change is bound to continue because people have realized the benefit of the right practice.
How long
Thank
before you go to the double-digit volume growth?
Oh, let's see it. First is like I'm extremely pleased that for the last 2 quarters is despite the fact that this includes our laundry business, which is a pretty big business, where because of lack of mobility, the demand has been muted. And despite that, we have grown double digit. So I think there would be a compensation. I expect laundry business to move up as people step out. And some of the high obsessive nature of demand, that would taper off.
Is there anything specific that you're looking at in the budget, which is due just a few days from now? Anything that would aid consumer sentiment?
First is I think we are very extremely pleased with the way the government has managed the crisis. Yeah, if you just look at your numbers, the number of infection cases have come down significantly. And I think what's going to further help the cause of demand is rapid rollout of vaccines, and where the government has a very ambitious plan. And together with the vaccination is the increase in the mobility that will result in increase in demand. Yeah, and if you break up, de-average the country, rural has been very resilient for the simple reason that the infections in rural were much lower, and that was not impacted seriously by curb on mobility. And urban was impacted adversely. And then when you also look at from a channel perspective, modern trade was impacted severely, whereas retail, general trade was not. And the e-commerce, of course, grew at a very feverish pace. But going forward, again, with mobility coming back, we expect modern trade to bounce back. And together with that, we also would expect the urban demand to start moving up.
All right. And finally, before we let you go, your thoughts on the consumer sentiment 2 quarters ago and where you stand right now, and any sort of bolt-on acquisitions like you did with Indulekha, anything on the cards right now?
We would not like to share the acquisitions that are in the pipeline, but let me tell you that a few months back, we had acquired V-Wash, which is an intimate hygiene brand, and we are very pleased with the way that has taken off. And of course, the mother of all acquisitions, which is merging the GSK Consumer Health, the biggest in the sector. And we are very pleased with the way the integration has taken place and the way the business has taken off. So extremely pleased. And sentiments, again, Mangalam, they are linked to the infection cases going down. Yeah, the hope and optimism with the vaccines being rolled out. So we are pleased, very pleased with the way the demand is picking up and the way the sentiments are moving up.
All right. Thanks a lot, Sanjiv and Srini. Thanks a lot for giving us your thoughts and being so candid with the way you look at demand going forward.
Thank you.
We have Priyanka Iyer from ET Now. Priyanka, would you like to go next?
Well, yes, thank you, gentlemen, for having us. Most of it has been covered, but I'd just like to understand from you the product launch pipeline going ahead. I mean, of course, last year we saw a lot of launches because of COVID-19. So how will this year be going forward this quarter as well? And I know you spoke about discretionary, but on one hand, while there is a revival coming in, you've said it's already flat year on year, but on the other hand, the raw material prices are also, acting as a headwind. So will there be an impact of that, or you will be passing on all the prices, or are there any further price increases that you are yet to pass on, which will happen in this quarter as well?
Srini, do you want to have a shot?
Yeah, so as far as innovations is concerned, I think that's the lifeblood of our business. And there are consumer needs met and unmet. And therefore, if you see a clear focus for us would be to continue to put out more innovations. At a certain point in time, we dialed up health and hygiene. While that continues to be relevant, I think there are also other needs and consumer benefits, and we will address them. So when you look at our investor deck, and we will talk about it, there have been a lot of innovations which have been coming in the beauty and personal care space. Hair, we're bringing in a lot. Nutrition, we are actually dialing up. So therefore, if you see for us, the next couple of quarters, 2 to 3 quarters, is going to be all about putting out their consumer relevant innovations and making them available at price points at benefit segments. And we will do that. Some bit of pricing is always good in any industry, including ours. Yes, there are challenges in a couple of categories, namely skin cleansing and tea. These are unprecedented levels of inflation. And I think one needs to manage them sensibly for the business and sensibly for the consumers. I think we need to give them the right price value equation. And if we do that, we'll do well. So for example, in tea, we took a very calibrated approach. Inflation was upwards of 50, 60, 70%. We took sensible price increases. We took them in smaller lots, which has actually meant that the business is growing in a very handsome fashion. Yes, in the short term, we've had some margin pressures, but we know how to handle them. Similarly, in cleansing, I spoke to you, one needs to price maybe 7 to 9. We've only done half of that today. We are driving hard on our savings and the other agenda. And in the short term, if it means that some of our margins could be under a little bit of pressure, that's again okay. Because if you're able to capture the consumer demand as the country is opening up and people are looking for products, I think getting that growth is super critical. We will be sensible. We'll protect our business model, because once we capture that growth, dialing up profitability is something that we know to do very well. We've actually taken this business over 800 basis points of margin expansion in the last 8 years to 9 years. So I think we have enough levers to play. For now, I think it's really maintaining the right price value equation, keeping the consumer's interest and managing it sensible. So yes, we'll be judicious. We will not be shy of pricing, but I think we know how to do it from both as an art as well as a science. Yeah. So Sanjiv, any additional thoughts, please?
No, you've done a great job. Priyanka, anything else you would like to ask?
So just to understand, how much the festive season also played into this quarter, because I mean, at the same time, people have started stepping out. So that is, of course, a major change that has come in comparison to any other year, which you would have seen. But just to get an idea as to how much of a play was the festive season for this quarter.
It would be very difficult to de-link, but clearly festive season does give a boost to consumption, because there is a festivity in the air, people feel good, and they want to look good, right? So they do spend money. And so that, together with the increase in mobility, I think that's what is bringing the consumption back.
Thank you, Sanjiv.
Thank you, sir.
Devanshi Ashar from Z Business, would you like to go next? Devanshi, you've raised your hand. Do you have a question? I think you're on mute. Devanshi, you are on mute. Okay, Sanjiv, I think we can't get Devanshi. She had raised her hand, but thank you very much for joining us, and see you next time.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Look after yourself.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.